The following is a conversation between His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and the Hatha Yoga teacher Mr. Roost, recorded May 31st, 1974 in Geneva, Switzerland.
Our Bhagavad Gita, there is yoga practice also. So we approve this yoga practice. There is no doubt. And in the Vedic literature, it is said, Dhyanavasthita jadgatena manasa pasyanti yam yogina. The yogis, they also seize the absolute truth by meditation within the mind. So this process is approved process. And there are divisions, Sagarbha yogi, Nigarbha yogi. So, what is your special subject matter of yoga?
I try to make a yoga who is understanding from Occident. I saw that Occidental people is more intellectual and I don't understand very easily the karma yoga. There are dynamics and I don't understand that we must work without goal, without intention, without personal intention. And I try to show through the practice of Hatha Yoga that posture and pranayama and concentration, I try to...
Beginning from abdomen?
The kind of meditation I learned in India with Swami Satyananda. It's a few different techniques. One is Ajapa Jap.
Manipura. Then the intestines, they come to the heart, then ultimately to the Brahmarandhra. This practice?
Yes, is a practice of Kundalini Yoga, but very temperate, moderate. It's not a Kundalini Yoga with strong pranayama. It's more a question of conscious of awareness of the breathing and for example of breathing. For example, breathing we start in
prana. This is prana,
and you must have the conscious of your breathing from Muladhara to Ajna and Ajna through the vertebral column to Muladhara. This is one example, and it's in general a technique of concentration. For example,
that I already said, Dhyana avasthita. Dhyana means meditation.
Yes.
And situated, avasthita. Dhyana avasthita tadgatena manasa, by mind, pasyanti yam yogi. So these processes are approved, but they are more or less on the bodily concept of life.
is according to...
As the karmis, they are the bodily concept of life, they are working day and night, trying to improve the material condition of life, not only in this life, but also in the next life. They are performing different ritualistic ceremonies for being promoted to the heavenly planet, like that.
Yes.
So they are all karmis, either in this world or in the next world. They are called karmis. So karmi means they want comfort of this body. And the yogis, they are also on the concept of this body. They are identifying this body as designated Brahma, Upadhi Brahma, Brahma with designation. But their central point is this body. That this bodily concept of life, so long it continues in the form of karma yogi or dhyana yogi, it can give him relief from the cycle of birth and death and merge into the Brahma effulgence. Brahma Sajujya Mukti, this is called technically. The Jnani is also. But that is not final. There is still farther. There is Brahma Sarupa Mukti, Brahma Salokya Mukti, Brahma Shasti Mukti. So generally the yogis and the jnani, they aim at Brahma Sajujya Mukti, to merge into the Brahma effulgence. But that is not final. Final is Bhakti Yoga. After advancing, if the yogi gets the chance of associating with pure devotee and he engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, that is final purpose.
I think so. That the ultimate is very very far for European people, I think. It's like in the yoga of Patanjali, it's eight part.
Ashtanga Yoga.
Yeah, Ashtanga Yoga. The last part of the evolution. I think first we must, through the body, find the balance. With the balance of our body, we can go after to the balance of our ego or psychism, and after this, perhaps we are able to sacrifice all to the Lord.
Sacrifice for whom?
Yes, without intention.
The Lord, he said.
Without personal intention.
I see.
I'm sorry.
The sacrifice. Intention means personal intention. Otherwise, intention to satisfy the Lord, that is required. That is bhakti.
And
we are not intentionless. but purified intention.
And what is your practice technically?
Yeah.
I think.
Technically, he begins with hearing, Shravanam, to hear about God. Just like Bhagavad Gita, we hear from God personally.
Mm-hmm. But through lecture, through sound.
Yes, through sound vibration.
And repeat and.
Sabdadanavritti in the Vedanta Sutra there is. By hearing the sound, one becomes immortal. So
it's like japa yoga. For example.
That is later. At beginning, you have simply to give submissive oral reception. That is the first beginning. Sthane sthita sutivatan sunumamanovi. Our process is jnani prayasam udapas. I know something, or I can know the Supreme by my knowledge, or I am something, I am very important. Our process is to forget this first of all. This is called humbleness, submission. Generally, the Jnanis, Yogis, they are thinking that they can do something by their own endeavor. Our process is different. That I am limited. My endeavor is limited. My knowledge is limited. So I cannot realize the unlimited by this limited resource. This is our first submission. Jnani prayasam udapadi. That I am limited, I am not unlimited. That's a fact. So how can I know the unlimited? By my limited activities. This is our first submission. Just like in the Vedic literature, it is stated that Mahavishnu, the plenary expansion of Govinda, from his breathing, innumerable universes are coming and going. Jasaika nisyasita tagamathavalamba jivanti loma vilaja jagadandana. So we cannot conceive even of this universe. And innumerable universes are coming and going during the breathing period of Mahavishnu. And that Mahavishnu is the plenary expansion of Govinda. So this is the position of Govinda. So, therefore, our process is not to try by our limited endeavor to understand the unlimited. This is our first one. Better be submissive and hear from the Lord or from the representative of the Lord about Him. Jnani prayasam udapasya namanta eva. Called Jnani prayasam udapasya namanta eva. Sarmaparitanga bhavadiyo vata sthane sthita sutivatang tanumang manovi ji prayasa jita jitapasi stai stilakta. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first admission. That this way one can find out this verse. Jnane prayasam yugapasati.
Jnana prayasam yugapasati.
Not in Bhagavad Gita. It
In Bhagavatam?
in some of the Bhagavatam. But
Oh, that's Jnana prayasam.
in the Chaitanya
That's 10th canto, chapter 14,
Yeah.
verse
You
14.
can find out in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes. So, since the best process of understanding you is to submissively give up the speculative process and try to hear about you, either from yourself, as you have given statements in the Bhagavad Gita and many other similar Vedic literatures, or from a realized devotee who has taken shelter at your lotus feet. One has to hear from a devotee without speculation. One does not even need to change his worldly position. Simply he has to hear your message. Although you are not understandable by the material senses, simply by hearing about you, one can gradually conquer the nescience of misunderstanding. By your grace only, you become revealed to the devotee. You are inconquerable by any other means. Speculative knowledge without any trace of devotional service is simply useless waste of time in search for you. Devotional service is so important that even a little attempt can raise one to the highest perfectional platform. One should not, therefore, neglect this auspicious process of devotional service and take to the speculative method. By the speculative method, one may gain partial knowledge of your cosmic manifestation, but it is not possible to understand you, the origin of everything. The attempt of persons who are interested only in speculative knowledge is simply wasted labor, like the labor of a person who attempts to gain something by beating the empty husk of rice paddy. A little quantity of paddy can be husked by the grinding wheel, and one can gain some grains of rice, but if the skin, the paddy, is already beaten by the grinding wheel, there is no further gain in beating the husk. It is simply useless labor.
So, bhakti is good. Does not very much appreciate the speculative method. They surrender and they try to get knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord, as Bhagavad Gita is being spoken by the Supreme Lord, or statements of the pure, highly elevated devotee, just like Brahma is speaking this way. Hearing. The main purpose is hearing. Hearing from the right source. That is especially in the Western world, instead of hearing from the right source, they want to speculate about the Absolute. We have got about 20 books like this, but they are not speculation. They are simply by hearing. I am writing what I have heard, not that I am speculating. Mostly the philosophers, the writers, they speculate, they write their own opinion. But our process is not that. We don't speculate. We present the statements of God and His devotees. There is the whole book. Anywhere you won't find, I think, in my opinion, perhaps it should be like this. No. We don't do that. As soon as there is perhaps, or maybe, that is not perfect knowledge. That is speculation. Just like in the Padma Purana, there is statement of different species of life. Jalajanavalakhani, statement that there are 900,000 species of life in the water. It is not written like this. Perhaps it may be, no. Like that says 1 million or 800,000, no, 900,000 specifically. Yeah, how do they get this knowledge? Exactly same. Jalajanavalakhani, Savaralakhani. Now, in another place, the magnitude of the soul is explained. Eshagra sadbhagasya, in the Upanishad also, it is stated that 10,000 parts of the top of the hair point is the magnitude of the soul. Our knowledge is accepted in that way, Vedic knowledge. Whatever is stated in the Vedas, that is taken as absolute truth, and we accept it. And there is fact. If you go to the same point by experimental truth, you will come to the same conclusion. So, we think that by experimental knowledge, why should we waste our time? Better take the truth which is already stated in the Vedic literature and build up your further premises on that basic principle. Just like that small fragment of spirit, 1/10,000th portion of the top of the hair is there within you, within me, and that is rotating through the air, pan upon pan, like that, the Vayu. The yogic process is to capture it. But that is a fact, that the spirit soul is there within this body. It is a fact. So either you try to understand or capture it by the yogic process, or you know it, that there is this soul within the body. The result is the same. Therefore you will find in the Bhagavad Gita at the end of the 6th chapter that the Bhakta Yogi is the topmost yogi. So one can adopt this Bhakti Yoga process and become perfect. And this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Jang jang bhavi saran bhavam tajattanti kalevana. If one becomes accustomed to this habit, and at the time of death he thinks of Krishna, then he dies. Jang jang bhapi smaran.
Jam jam vapi smaran bhavam tyajutyante kalevaram tam tam vivaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha.
Sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Yes, this is very important.
Whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits this body, that state he will attain without fail.
So we are practicing this bhakti yoga and teaching others also.